Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Super pumped to have you here. I know it's been a while since I uploaded. I've been really busy, but we are back on our regular uploading schedule of 2 videos a week. And today I wanted to give you a list of the top 7 things that will save your skateboard or make your skate setup last longer. And we're not talking about just the board itself, we're talking about the whole setup all around. So some of these are going to be pretty obvious, but some of these might surprise you and are things that you may be doing and not know that this actually affects the lifespan of your skateboard. So without further ado, let's get right into the list. Coming in at number 1, which is probably the most obvious, don't skateboard in the rain. First reason, it's not even that fun. The second reason is water is terrible for skateboards. So first off, bearings, they have oil in them, and the water, it's gonna make them rust out, and it's also gonna let stuff get in there, like dirt and stuff, and mud. But another thing is if your board is chipped or you have razor tail, the water is actually gonna get in there and soak into the wood, and it's going to make your board weaker in some spots, and it's gonna just make it warp a little bit. So not to mention that the grip tape also does not like water. You're gonna take some of the grippiness away from the grip tape. So water is terrible for skateboards, and I highly recommend you do not skateboard in the rain. Number 2 on this list is do not use a drill to set up your skateboard. So the first time I did this, and the only time I did this, I was actually at my local skate shop. I just bought a blind board for about 35 bucks, and I was setting my board up with a drill that they had there, and I wasn't paying attention, and the bolt drilled halfway through the wood. And that came with a lot of different pressure cracks later on, and my board ended up snapping in the same general area right next to those bolts. So drills are not the best to set up your skateboard because of that very reason. The drill has more force, and then the wood might be softer, so you might end up actually drilling through the skateboard. So I definitely recommend just a skate tool and a Phillips or an Allen head, whatever kind your hardware is, and stay away from drills. They're not the best, and honestly, they're not even that much faster. Coming in at number 3 is using your tail as a brake when you skateboard. So I see this happen all the time at a skate park, and which is especially terrible because the skate parks around me have absolutely terrible ground, this cheese grater ground, and people, when they're going fast, they'll slam their tail down and drag it across the ground to stop themselves. This is going to make your tail razor. As easy as that. And with razor tail, it's going to definitely limit your pop, and if the board shoots out and hits something with razor tail, it's definitely more likely to chip, and your board's just not going to feel good altogether. You're not going to be popping as high, your tricks aren't going to look as good, and razor tail, it's going to happen regardless of what you do. If you skate your board a lot, this will happen eventually, but it's going to happen a lot quicker if you use your tail as a brake, especially on the parks around here. Doing that even for a couple of sessions is going to completely wear through the plies of your board. So I definitely recommend, if you're going fast, just put your foot down on the ground to slow yourself down, let your shoe take the wear, or just jump off the board altogether if you can do that safely. But I would definitely recommend just putting your foot down and not dragging your tail to save your skateboard's tail. The next tip I have, which even I'm guilty of sometimes, and I know a lot of people don't mean to do it, and this is also kind of obvious, but do not throw your board in anger. It's not going to help anything. It's probably only going to hurt things. So there's a lot of times when you're so focused on a trick and nothing really matters, and you're exhausted, you're thirsty, it's really hot out, and it just kind of happens. You're so close, you just slip out at the end, or you toe drag, and you pick up your board and you throw it in anger. It happens, I understand it, you see it all the time, but really it's just not a good look, and it's not gonna help your skateboard or your skating at all. You're just gonna damage your skateboard. You might ruin your nose, you might ruin your tail, you might chip your board really badly and have to replace it. It's not worth it. If you're really frustrated, I recommend just taking 5 minutes off, just step away from the trick for a little bit, or just skate something else and come back to it. If you're doing the right thing and the board's under you, you're just not committing right, muscle memory is going to kick in a little bit, and you're going to bring yourself back to sanity, because I know that feeling, and I have been there too, but it's really not worth it. Just don't throw your stuff. It's not cool. So the next tip I have for you is going to save your wheels a lot, and that's rotating them. So when you're skating, you have a patch or a conical or a tablet, whatever wheel you're skating, that's going to be the main tread that's on the ground. And when you skate and you do board slides or reverts or any types of 180s, your wheel is actually going to be hitting the ground in a different spot. more often than the others. And when that happens, your wheel is going to start to cone, and that's when it starts to cone. Your wheel will start to look like a cone, and that's because part of your wheel is going to be wearing away faster than the rest of it. And you can easily switch this out by just turning your wheels around, and then it's going to keep them even, so you're going to have more tread on your wheels and you'll be on the ground with a little bit more stability. And coned wheels don't look good, so that's pretty easy. What I recommend doing is just taking your skate tool, and if you have your graphics in, go to the other side of the board, diagonal from it, and take that wheel off, and then put your graphics on the outside. So then they're completely mirrored from each other, and that will definitely save your wheels and they won't be coned. The next tip I have for you is do not leave your board in your car or garage, especially here in the Midwest where I live. During the summers, the humidity is ridiculous, and during the winters, it is absolutely freezing outside. And wood, like I said earlier, when it goes into the rain, it warps. Well, same thing with the temperatures. If the temperatures are changing drastically, that will warp your board, and it's also not great for the bearings either. So what I recommend you do is bring your board in the house with you where it's a controlled climate and the temperature is not too crazy. And yeah, that will be a lot better, and you won't soften up the wood or make the wood warp. And the last tip I have for you, which not a lot of people do, but a lot of people know about, is using citrus cleaner on your bearings to clean your bearings. So I know if you skate like Bones Red's bearings, they're only $20 a pack of bearings, and that might last you for a couple months, and then you just buy new ones. You actually really don't need to, because bearings will last a lot longer than you think they will. So pretty much all you need to do is take your bearings out of the wheels, pop the shields off, and dump them in some citrus cleaner. Shake them around a little bit to get all of that off there, and when they're done, put some Bones Speed Cream, like this stuff, or any type of lubricant you have in there. Put the shields back on and they will skate just fine. But make sure if you do clean them in citrus cleaner that you have some type of lubricant so that they'll spin, because you're going to spin really well once they come out, but there's no oil in there and your bearings will probably break. Another thing I can recommend is buying Synapsis bearings, because their bearings actually come with a small thing of lube, and I still actually have that to this day. The lubricant lasted way longer than the bearings, and I use that on all sets of bearings. So if you have some bearings and they're getting dirty and you've had them for a while, don't throw them out and buy some new ones. Actually try cleaning them, and I guarantee you're going to get a lot of dirt out of them, and they're going to spin a lot better than you thought they were. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you found any of these tips helpful, or if you use any of these tips, let me know in the comments below. And if you have another tip to help your skateboard last longer, also leave it in the comments below. But please like and subscribe if you like this content. Every single second of view time really does help. And stay safe out there, keep skating, and I will see you guys in the next one. Have an awesome day.